And we're going to explore more of the fashion industry with Kamile Kaselyte, which is an entrepreneur and digital marketer, who's going to speak about how digital influencers transform the fashion industry. Kamile?
Hello everybody, so good to see you all today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the fashion industry and how digital influencers came into play and how they changed the industry that I worked for in the last 5 or 6 years, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So I think with regards to fashion industry, the idea is that, you know, it has a lot of different viewpoints, so you can view it from the good side, you can view it from the bad side. So as an example, I give you the egg effect. So basically, there was one picture of Kylie Jenner, as you know, Kardashian family person, and she posted a photo of herself and her baby, and she received 18 million likes. At the time, it was the most popular picture on the Instagram. So what some people did, they created this initiative in order to beat the record, and they posted just a simple egg on a white background, and they wanted to beat this record. And so they did with 35 million likes, and it's increasing. So with this example, I just want to point out that we have different initiatives and different leverages of influence. So it's all about the message, it's all about, you know, how we use influencers. So the whole rise of fashion influencers was, you know, together with the rise of social media. So the platforms were rising. There was a need of return on investment marketing. So a marketing that you can control, that you can see metrics, and something that you can measure. So influencers were, you know, perfect for that. I think it's essential to highlight that the authenticity and trust was really important, as, you know, in fashion, we were shifting from celebrities, from, you know, famous people that looked really, you know, too perfect in order to be truth. So influencers were those people that you can ideally connect yourself with and sort of resonate with, in the beginning, of course. And then it was also for brands of widening the target market. So essentially, you have a number of followers that represent certain target groups, certain people, and you wanted to utilize that as a fashion brand. So these are some of these statistics that, you know, summarize the points I just said. So, you know, when people started using ad blocking technology, when people started, you know, looking for purchasing advice on social media, or perhaps you can mention the declined return on investment on various platforms, like, you know, if you have a lot of brands on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, the algorithms and the Facebook, the platforms change everything. That so you had to put a lot of money. So eventually return on investment wasn't that good. So what you did, you shifted to influencers. The undeniable power of fashion influencers can be illustrated with this example of Chiara Ferragni. She's a famous Italian blogger with 16.5 million followers. Why I chose this example is precisely because alone her wedding had more media impact value than the royal wedding. And for example, her wedding gown made around 5 million advertising dollars for a fashion company, Dior. So it's essential to highlight this power of influencers, as even they were, you know, presented in a case study by Harvard Business School, etc. So, but with this very full industry, we have a number of questionable practices, and we have, you know, from Fire Festival that you probably all know, you know, the case of the festival that was brought by social media, and again, it was damaged by the social media when, you know, it was all advertised very well, but then it turned out to be disaster. And the same happens with, you know, fashion brands, fashion products that really don't have a good quality, and they're being really advertised. And the more people want to get into this fashion industry, the more people want to be influencers. More and more people are using questionable practices like, you know, chatbots, automated likes, and a lot of services, engagement groups as well. And it's really difficult to tell whether, for example, an engagement group is a legal or a good practice, because we heard today that it's a great way of, you know, engaging, etc. But when the brand looks at your numbers, who are those people? You know, are they your friends? Are somebody supporting you? Or they are actual clients, you know? So I think it's also essential to say that with this unregulated industry, also have, you know, some guidelines that, for example, you have to post sponsored, hashtag ad below your post when you're, you know, doing a sponsor ad. But actually, not a lot of influencers do comply with these rules, and it happens so that there's so much tax avoided, and also for the beauty industry, a lot of harmful and really questionable cosmetic practices are being, you know, promoted. So the same with Botox and the same with other things that now there are rules apply that you have to post, that you have to consult with, you know, doctor, etc. So I'm going to talk about few future trends that are emerging, sort of like because of the saturated industry. So there's been a example of virtual influencers already in the industry. Instagram is also changing some things within the platform, so it's introducing no likes Instagram in a way. Maybe if they succeed in their, you know, trial. And there's also, you know, fashion tech products that you're more likely to see alongside platforms. So this is a funny case of virtual AI influencer that was, you know, developed purely by algorithm. And she is Lily Michele, and she has 1.5 million followers, and she's purely like, you know, an artificial product. So why did this all happen? It was because, you know, brands sort of wanted to have the safe trajectory and safe space where they can create, you know, human-like person, then they can control it, you know, fully. But it seems that it didn't work out because people don't have, you know, trust in this fictitious digital character, and there were a lot of negative comments below her picture saying, you know, you look like a robot, who you are, and, you know, etc. Also, why these influencers can be really a good future trend is because they cannot reflect and endorse like political movements, social movements, just because they're not humans, and perhaps they cannot experience any movement or, you know, discrimination, anything like we do. And I think when virtual influencers can be used is when it's good for satirical play, showcasing, you know, the fun, the, you know, making some great campaigns, and it's more like a one-off play. With no likes Instagram, it's an interesting concept that Instagram is now rolling out this feature in Canada. So as you see in the picture, you will not be able to see the number of likes, and you will see others. And if you're owner of the account, you can actually open the number of likes, and you can see who actually liked your photo. So it's like Instagram stories. So what's the rationale of it is that it's perhaps going to be better for mental health. But on the other hand, if you have this currency of likes and this sort of game of like casino game, when you know, open your Instagram and you check, you know, how many likes you get, it's going to be more difficult for brands to find new influencers. So it's going to be more difficult to track. Is it a good influencer? What's her engagement rate? But also, the rationale why Instagram is doing such thing is obviously because they want to, you know, increase paid advertising on Instagram. So basically, if you can't really see well what the influencer is doing, they want you to promote with company's business side, so then you can see all the metrics yourself. So I think what essentially will come down to influencers having to have great media kits. So basically saying and like their engagement rates, success stories, putting everything down really clearly so that they provide a clear value for the brand. So we also have, you will see a lot of more engagement via comments, via stories, etc. And it will have to be a close relationship with the influencers. And you're also going to see a lot of wearable things on Instagram, a lot of, you know, clothes highlighted with sponsors. So as like at Met Gala, Zendaya wore this dress that was, you know, enhanced by these LED lights and immersive experience as well. On the right-hand side at British Academy Awards, you had this virtual model. And to sum it up, there will be sort of like 4 types of fashion influencers, and I think in any other field as well, it can apply. There will be like activist influencers who will be like more representing, some social movements. They will promote higher moral standards, and that way they will try to increase their loyalty. Of course, micro-influencer is not a new thing, but it will be more and more used throughout, with brands, because we see that they have better engagement rate, they're less expensive, and they're more relatable and more approachable. And last but not least, you will have monogamous influencers, and I think it's really interesting because you will have influencers working with these particular brands, so you won't see feeds with thousands of different products, with thousands of different tags, because it doesn't look authentic. You don't want to buy, from a billboard, basically. And the last category is really interested as people are shifting from Facebook, from Instagram to Telegram and WhatsApp. So how influencers will, dominate in these platforms, and how will they communicate, because those platforms are private. So it's really interesting how they're going to leverage their influencer on there. So thank you, and please do hit me up on Instagram or at the booth there. If you want to have questions, consultations, please let me know. Thank you.